Upon discovering the onslaught, Cain flies back to the forest with Seth to fight, while Dalmatia remains in the forest and keeps fighting the monsters. It has been a while since he had the opportunity to fight with such great faith, so he is super excited to fight. He keeps his happiness up high and keeps fighting, and he eventually gets distracted by how glad he is, and one of the monsters attacks him from behind. Luckily for him, Cain and Seth are around the corner. Cain uses Inferno to attack the monster immediately while Seth screams Dalmatia's name to call his attention. Cain and Seth join the fight to kill and defeat the monsters, but while standing on that spot, it isn't difficult for them to know that the real issue isn't that near, and the thing causing that onslaught is still far inside the forest. Seth tells Cain that he should go inside the forest and fight the major issue, while they will hold off the monsters at that place. Although Cain is glad that he can really find people to rely on, he is also concerned that they may not be able to defeat all the monsters, and some of the monsters may find their way to the city. Seth promises that he will call some of his disciples from the demon's world to help him, and they can do it, although they may have to destroy a part of the forest. Cain tells them the major priority is the village, and they should do all they can do to protect the village, irrespective of whether or not the forest survives. However, they should be very careful and ensure they don't do too much. Seth looks at him and wonders who that warning should be to. Cain is the one who goes the extra mile and does too much every time. After that discussion, Cain leaves to find Aaron, and he also notices that a follower of the old geezers is coming. He is excited to kill the followers and also destroy the entire village. He awaits Cain's arrival as Cain tries to fight through all the monsters on the way so he can get to his target. On the other hand, in the city, Tijuana controls the people and commands them to enter the gate. She promises herself that she wouldn't allow any evil to happen to the villagers, and she hopes to be able to maintain her promise. Meanwhile, Millie is with Nina, Claude, and Lena. She immediately forges towards the village gate, and the others ask her where she is going. She claims that she wants to go to the forest to assist Cain. She feels the monsters may be too many for Cain, and considering the amount of monsters that are running into the village, it is enough to suspect that the war in the forest is going to be too tough for anyone. They ask her if she knows what she is doing and remind her that the probability that they will return home safely is low since they don't know the risk that is involved in that fight. She insists that she has to go. In her words, it is about time she behaved like a good teacher for once. Throughout the times they have been tutoring Cain, he hasn't really needed any of their help, and she feels this is one of the only times that he needs them, and she can't sit back. She starts walking towards the force, and Nina also thinks about what she has said. She decides that she will follow Millie, and they will go fight with Cain. Claude, on the other hand, is concerned about his stubborn and heavy-headed sister. He wonders how he got that kind of stubborn sister but feels he can't leave her to go through such a risk alone, so he decides to go. He asks his wife Lena if she would also like to go with them, and Lena hits his head, asking him if he thinks she will leave him to go alone to that difficult forest. They are all determined to help Cain, and they move towards the forests. In the forest, Seth decides to summon the 4 heavenly beings. When the heavenly beings arrive, they are shocked that Seth has summoned them. They admit that Seth hasn't summoned them in ages, and for him to summon them on that day, something important must have happened. They look around, and they realize they aren't in the demon world. They wonder why Seth has summoned them into the human world, and in their awe, they also see Dalmatia. They know Dalmatia to be one of the greatest workers in the kingdom, and they can't imagine that Dalmatia has also been summoned to the human world. They channel all their questions and concerns to Seth, but Dalmatia replies to them that Seth has entered into a contract with a human, and the human has requested for their help to protect that city. So that is what they will do. The heavenly beings can't believe what they are hearing. Does Seth really mean that a mere human had the audacity to create a contract with the Prince of Darkness? They ask Dalmatia who this human is, and Dalmatia informs them that Cain isn't a mere human, and he is a demigod. He is the chosen one, and they are doing the job for him. Seth tells them that they should leave the questions for later, and he will reply to them when they are done with their duty. He commands them to start destroying the monsters immediately and ensuring the monsters do not enter the village. Cain also flies closer to Aaron. With every step he takes, he sees the monster rushing outside with so much audacity. He wonders what Aaron will gain from all he does, and he eventually finds Aaron. Aaron tells him that he has been anticipating him, and he has been expecting that the old geezers will send someone to seal him back. He tells Cain that he is a god, and although he hasn't gotten the full control of his body, he still has power, some of which are the ones he had used to borrow the body of the dragon, and he will destroy the city. Cain asks if he is indeed the former god of amusement. He tells him that at least if he wants to fight, they can fight directly, and begs Aaron to stop the monsters from forging to the village. Although he knows Aaron doesn't have the duty to obey him, he just hopes for the best. Aaron laughs at him. He asks him if he doesn't know the rationale behind all he is doing. Aaron claims what he seeks is to destroy the human world, and that is what he is gunning for. So he wants to see how long the humans will survive from those monsters. He attacks Cain with his fire, and for the first attack, he only puts the fire beside Cain. He notices that Cain is familiar, and he tells Cain that he looks like the people who had sealed him in the first place. Cain asks him if he means his parents, and he tells Aaron that it is his parents. Aaron says he doesn't intend to kill Cain earlier, he just wants to scare him and let him go. But at this point, it is just important that he kills Cain and moves on. He sends his fire at Cain, but Cain dodges it. The fire hits the monsters on the floor, and Cain sees as the monsters fly away. He decides to revenge, and he uses his infernal. He wonders if his magic is strong enough to defeat Aaron, and he sees smoke. He wonders if he has won, but Aaron shows up again. Aaron admits that he doesn't have all his power but claims it is ridiculous that Cain thinks that the weak fire that he is emitting can kill him. Aaron attacks Cain again, but this time around, Cain tries to run away. Aaron keeps chasing Cain with the fire. Emily and others arrive at the forest. They see Seth and the heavenly beings floating in the air, and they wonder who they are. And when they see that they are also trying to kill the monsters, they figure that they are helping them in the fight. Venus suggests that those are the friends Cain was talking about. Some of the monsters slipped past Seth and his people, and Seth assumes that the humans will kill them, just as he had assumed. The adventurers get into action, and they kill the monsters sincerely. The monsters are too many, and they get weak easily. Claude continues with the hopes that when all these ends, he will drink alcohol with his family, and Lena, for the first time, gives him the exemption to do so. They all cheer that they will drink alcohol with Cain and continue fighting. However, their excitement dies quickly as their magic runs low. Nina fiends, and Lena suggests that they should retreat, but Claude insists that they have just one life, and they should use it in protecting the people. That doesn't change the fact that he is also exhausted. He is attacked by a monster, and he tries to defend himself, but he finds it very difficult. He keeps holding forth the monster with his sword, and suddenly someone throws spears from behind them and kills the monster. The person turns out to be Tijuana. She appreciates them for protecting the city for that long and says that reinforcement has arrived, and the city gate is now properly secured. So she will take charge of hitting the monsters at that point. She tells Claude to step back since they are all tired, but Claude says he wouldn't step back. He says in the words of his friend Cain, if you have the power to protect people, you must do it to your best. So as long as there is a city that they have to protect, he won't step back. Cain summons Haku and Jin to join him in the fight. As they fly towards Aaron, he throws Haku to the wall, and that angers Cain. After injuring Haku, he attempts to fry Haku with his fire, but Jin runs to Haku and protects him. Aaron keeps hitting them with fire, and he gets angry that Jin is stopping his fire from penetrating the way he wants it to penetrate. He claims he hates when weak people try to protect each other. So Cain walks to him angrily asking what he hates, and people trying to preserve each other's smiles. He claims he isn't just the god's underling, and the reason he is doing all he is doing is that he has people that he wants to protect their smiles and see them smile again. And he will do just that. He summons the highest level of power, the Overload, which isn't available for humans, and he hits Aaron with it. When Aaron sees that light, he runs away. Cain, who is invested in what he is doing, doesn't know that he has done too much until Jin and Haku hold his legs to call his attention. He gets back to reality, and Seth tells him he has gone too far. They tell him that the monsters have withdrawn and the onslaught has stopped. He happily returns to his people, and he sees them laughing happily. They jump to hug him, and before Seth leaves, he admits that Cain is a good chosen one. Reports get to the king as to what Cain has done. He asks Cain if that light that shined around was created by him, and when Cain says yes, he says the light has caused the people to think that God has descended. He complains that since Cain will marry his daughter, he should leave the throne for Cain. But when Cain refuses, he decides to reward Cain by giving him land and making him a viscount. He gives him the land of Doranthal, and when Tijuana hears, she gets sad. They know the land is the worst, and the adventurers there are without limit. Tijuana claims she will complain to her dad that he can't do that, but Cain says he is excited about it. Cain visits Doranthal, and later the reports of what he does there get to the king. He is confronted at the guild in disguise as a welcome party, but he defeats them and destroys the guild. He also kicks out some adventurers that maltreated a little girl at the pub, and he is arrested. He is eventually released, and he goes for tea with Telas and Silk. Suddenly Seth comes out begging for help. He claims he cheated on his wife, and she has kicked him out. His wife, LaFawn, also arrives and greets Cain, asking what he thinks about her husband's action. Telas and Silk condemn Seth's action, and LaFawn is impressed by their knowledge. She threatens Cain that he must not make them sad. She returns to her world with her husband, and Cain builds walls in a giant castle in his town. The castle is bigger than that of the king, and he realizes he has gone too far again. The gods think of what to do with him, and their head says they have to leave him because there are still other things they need him for. At the series end, all his friends and acquaintances in that world stand in front of him, and they scream his name.